Hello everybody and welcome, all thanks to LD Mobile. This is NBL Overtime, week 18 in the books. It probably threw up more questions than it did answers, although the Perth Wildcats did what they had to. The Kings load managed, the Brisbane Bullets continue to stay hot, and plenty more right around the league, including New Zealand Breakers that might have a little tweak, as we'll discuss Corey Webster. Hashtag See Incredible, hashtag NBL 20, of course, the first ever Indigenous Round in week 18 of the NBL, and what a weekend it was. And, well, when it comes to studs and duds on NBL.com.au, the big stud was the Indigenous Round. So I'm going to start with you, Liam Santamaria, because I thought it was perfectly written. Hello to you.
Hello. Yeah, no, it was terrific. So good to have that happening in our league. I thought it was really well done across the round. The team celebrated well. The jerseys looked sensational. So, yeah, it was great.
We'll get to a little more of that very shortly. Corey Homicide Williams.
What's up, man?
How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Doing really good.
Is that a Bullets hat?
It is. I got to give a shout out to the Bullets. You know, everybody's there. Liam has been holding down Brisbane Island, and it is packed right now on that island.
Yes,
so,
it is.
You know, kudos to the Bullets for continuing to win.
Yeah, we're going to get to them again very shortly as well. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. And, of course, as we get towards the end of the regular season and the playoffs, it leads to the Gazies. Sunday week, of course, the NBL in the last couple of years. And, oh, straight up, there you go. There's the MVP nominees. I was going to try and build it up, guy, at the back, but we'll just get straight into it. There you go. This has been voted on. Before we go any further, I'll explain it. The names, Trigar, Santamaria, Frank, Lockie Reed, Casey, Ward, Logue, Ulich and Davis have all put their collective minds together after watching each and every game over the course of the year. They get a short list of 15 now. This gets to the captain of the team, the coach and the assistant coach. If there's a group of assistant coaches, they band together and just put the one entry in, and that's how we'll get to the MVP. Boys, I'll start with you, Homicide. What do you make of this?
Look, for me, it's a two-horse race. So...
Hang on. Is that Machado and Cotton?
There you go.
Even though you got the Bullets hat on, you still refuse.
Shout out to Lamar Patterson. You are
not
a
shouting
stud.
out enough.
Shout out. He's in it. But for me, it's those two guys. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the final vote's going to, I think it's a three-horse race, but yeah, it's going to come down to that pointy end of this group. But I think the way that the league's doing it now works well, where it's sort of like two layers. There is some kind of... there's something to be said for getting nominated. But that's the first step, and we can celebrate the seasons of those guys, and then it goes further. I'd like to see that list even next year, maybe even 10. Cut down to 10 or something like that. But
small steps. It was 20 last year.
20.
Now we're 15.
Yeah.
Next year it'll be 10.
I don't think there's too many surprises of the nominations. I think there's probably the guys that were right on the bubble, the biggest maybe snubs. A few from Melbourne, Trimble, McCarron, Golding, not on that list. Tariko White in Perth's not on that list. Nathan Sobey, I think, had an underrated year. But I'm pretty happy with that top 15.
All right, so how many do you vote for?
No, my job's done.
Yeah, no, I mean in that. So the 15 players, you vote for how many?
You send in your list of 15.
Okay, how close to your 15 was that 15?
100%.
All right, let's get to the most improved player as well. Of course, the Gazies on Sunday week, going to be a huge night. The most improved player, of course, last year won by Ruben Tarangi, who took home 2 awards on that night. He will not be winning it this year. Bruce, there's Sunday Deck in there as well. Majuk Deng's had a good year in Cairns. Gerridge, of course, back in the league after a little while. Anthony Drimmick, Will Magnay, of course, and Dane Pinot. The bottom two, probably the two favourites. What do you think, Homicide?
I think this is a three-horse race.
Who's the third?
Sean Bruce, Will Magnay, Dane Pinot, and I'm going to tip Will Magnay. Hard to pass up the way he finished off this season so loud. So, and they're in the finals.
Before we go any further, I hear you pushing in the commentary over the weekend for Brad Newley to be included in here or not?
No, I asked the fellas if they thought he was a sneaky chance at a nomination. I had sort of heard a whisper that maybe...
Did you vote for it?
No, I didn't. Okay. I voted for this 5 minus Drimmick and Jerrick. That was the 5 I put forward for most improved. And as I said on the broadcast during the weekend, this for me is apart from MVP, is probably the most exciting award. And I think it's awesome that we've got a great race for most improved because, it's an awesome award. It speaks to guys, putting in the work and taking their game to another level. And yes, it's probably Will Magnay, I think, the clubhouse leader for mine.
I agree. The thing too, if we can put it up there, I know we're asking a bit too much at the back. Either way, look, there is, how many players on there? There's 7 players on there, and the depth of the players, Sean Bruce is going to have a huge say in what happens in the playoffs. Deck's had a good year for a team to struggle. Deng's going to be playoffs. Jared, there's a lot of guys there who've had really key play, and I think that is, we talk about the strength and depth of NBL and where it is in 2020. I think that 7 really good names on there suggests that the league's going in the right direction, rather than just 1 or 2 in the past. I mean, it might have been stretching to find someone else to be on the list. I think all 7 deserve to be there.
And
I think that's good.
also good news for a bunch of those. A lot of those guys are becoming free agents, so it's always good to be a most improved nomination when you're entering free agency.
Doesn't a contract year in all sports really just help you find a little leg? All right, Ruben Tarangi won that award last year. He also won the Sixth Man of the Year. He's not going to win it this year because he's not part of the nominations as we have a look at the nominees for the Sixth Man of the Year. Kyle Adnam having a good year. Ashley in New Zealand. There's Bruce again. Cadiz, second half of the year has been great. Eric Griffin, Big Nate Jaiwai, Kickett, Magnay and Steindl.
I reckon Brandon Ashley has flown a little under the radar in terms of his potential to win this award. He has been massive for the Breakers over the course of this 6-game winning streak and getting them, no, not 6-game, 4 out of 5, their last 5. And he's been really important for them. And I think Daniel Kickett as well is probably a little underappreciated for how good he's been this year.
I want Jason Cadee to win this award. I, at the end of the season, personally slammed him. And for him to bounce back and play the basketball that he's playing this year, he's a big reason off the bench why they are in a position that they're in. I think he should win that award.
Interestingly, I don't think Will Magnay will win this award because I think that the people now voting and the coaches, the assistant coaches and the captains will look at him more as where he's gone, become as a starter in the second half of the year compared to him as a Sixth Man of the Year. But technically the way the rules are written, Will Magnay should win that award because he has been brilliant. He played himself into a starting position and statistically, because he's eligible, he should be the Sixth Man of the Year. I don't think he will be. I think Ashley will win it.
Do you?
Because he's been really good. I think Ashley has been really good and a huge part of him staying out of foul trouble and the way he's gone about it in the second half of the year. And I know there's been the tweaking and more understanding of the roles in New Zealand and all the rest of it, but I think that's why he'll win it.
Do you know, it's happened again in New Zealand where their import centre ends up coming off the bench because he gets in foul trouble.
Yeah.
It happens, for some reason, it happens over there in that team year after year after year.
Yeah.
Kene Beckway, they won the championship
Of course.
with that. Charles Jackson, it goes even further back. I still think they should have done that with Sean Long last year. They didn't. But, I hope he gets lots of votes because he's been really good.
And it leads us to the defensive player of the year. You speak of that last year. Sean Long was on the shortlist when we went to what was just the NBL Gala last year. Now it's the Gazies. Bogut, Deck, who's had an outstanding year. Magnay again. McCarran Newble, who I tipped in the mid-half of the year. Oliver, Pinot and Casper Ware. I'll start with you, Liam. Did you vote for all of these guys?
Well, no, I could only put
only five.
Yeah, so...
Who didn't you have?
Who didn't I have? I had Bogut, Deck, Magnay, McCarran, Newble. So I didn't have those bottom 3.
There's 8 there, okay.
Do you know who I was hoping others would put, who I think others would put in so he'd get nominated and it didn't happen, so I think he's a bit of a snub, is Tom Abercrombie.
Hang on. Before you go any further, you can't not vote for someone, hope that someone else puts him in and call him a snub. Can you, Homicide?
No, not at all.
I thought long and hard about Tom Abercrombie because he has been awesome. Dan Shamir puts him on the opposing point guard and he locks a lot of them up. But he obviously didn't get in, and this is a group of 8 terrific defensive players.
DJ Newbill is my guy. He's had a hell of a year. He harasses the opposition's best player on the perimeter, and he's pretty much given them problems all year consistently or shut them down while still doing his thing on the other end. So that's my pick for Defensive Player of the Year. And
to the Rookie of the Year last year is Harry Froling, of course. Hashtag NBL Overtime, hashtag NBL20, hashtag See Incredible to get involved to let us know. And there's a fairly long list there, of course. Armstrong at the top, one of the next stars, LaMelo Ball, Fisher, hasn't played a great deal. Froling, who's actually been pretty good in the last month or so when he's come back from injury. Hunter, who obviously the big man in Sydney, Hampton. So essentially anyone here. Kwat Noy.
Yeah.
Who I actually think would have won it had he not been injured, only because Hampton and LaMelo Ball haven't played as many games as I think we all expected them to. But the fact that they really, if you look at that, this is an interesting one because...
It is.
I don't think LaMelo Ball would have won it, considering how many games he has missed, but no one else essentially has played enough and well enough to beat him.
Yeah, probably true. So this is not a nominating kind of process. No. This is just if you're a rookie in the league, you're eligible. The top 4, I think, Ball, Froling, Hampton and Noy all have missed significant chunks of the year. So I don't think there's you know, like you say, there was an opportunity with Ball's injury for somebody else to come in and maybe steal this away. Kawatanoe is the guy who probably jumps off the page in that regard. But with them not having played enough games, I think probably it'll go to Ball. Just on Sunday, Decker, well, who is, of course, nominated for a number of awards, has played 41 NBL games. And I know he's become a lot more prominent this year. He's been a development player in the past at Perth. But he was upgraded when Damien Martin was injured a couple of years ago. It might have been last year, actually, early last year. So, essentially, that's why Sunday Deck is not on that list as Rookie of the Year. And I assume, considering you think he's going to be the #1 pick, that LaMelo Ball will take a trophy?
You know the vibes?
Now, you are obviously tight with Jermaine Jackson, right? Now, they are gone. Would you be called upon possibly have to go up and accept the award at the Gazies on behalf of LaMelo Ball?
That's a great call.
Oh, my God.
Would you
guys. Nah, I would do it.
You do it?
Of course I wouldn't do it.
Oh, my God.
Of course I wouldn't do it.
No, how about this? How about if I write you, like
goodness.
Bogut did for Bogut, I'll write you a LaMelo Ball acceptance speech and you go and grab it and read it.
What do I look like? You guys, man.
That should happen.
All right, there's the awards. We'd love to know your thoughts as we head towards the
What about Coach of the Year?
Well, everyone's nominated. But that's a good question. Where was Coach of the Year guy at the back?
I mean, we didn't discuss it, but we still didn't discuss it.
Yeah. Who you got?
Mike Kelly. The reason being is because we did not expect that. Will Weaver, great coach, but we expected them to be in the situation that they're in. Trevor Gleason, great coach. With that team, we expected them to finish 1 and 2 in the ladder. So all they did was do what they were supposed to do. So nothing new with that. No surprise. But what Mike Kelly has done in his second year of coaching professionally, his own club, after 5 wins last year and dead last place, for him to be where they're at, that speaks volumes.
I always find it difficult weighing that up. Like, how much of it should be based on what we expected? The award's not surprise of the year. You know, like, just because we got our expectations of Cairns wrong doesn't necessarily mean Will Weaver should suffer in the Coach of the Year voting.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
So because athletes and coaches right across the world set a standard of excellence to which we, and the perception might be wrong, all right, that they have to match for them to be able to be considered for certain awards again. Or the criticism comes on the back of the fact that the standard they have set so far, they haven't quite been able to get to it, even though it is so high. That's why Scott Machado will win the MVP. Because essentially the same reason that Mike Kelly will probably win Coach of the Year. It's surprising us. Now,
well, that shouldn't happen. That voter fatigue, like for Bryce Cotton, man.
That happens right across the world.
And with the Sydney Kings, right? They are going to become the only team in NBL history to lead the league on the top of the ladder from the end of round 1 through to the end of the final round of the season. That is remarkable.
It is.
That's historic.
Agreed.
And usually we reward the coach in that regard. And we say, you've had this consistent excellence. You have been absolutely outstanding. And not only have they been able to do that, they've done it with an eye to the future, with an eye to the postseason. They haven't rolled out Bogut, played him into the ground to win all these regular season games to achieve that. They've managed all the different bits and pieces and the moving parts with guys out. Kevin Lish, Craig Mollo, and so on and so forth. So I think Will Weaver has done a sensational job. So has Mike Kelly. If either one of those guys won it, they would deserve it.
And that's the point.
What about Trevor Gleason? He's done an incredible job too. So we can't disregard that as well.
Same theory. Everyone expects the Perth Wildcats, because they've been in the playoffs forever, for them to have a really good year. And Trevor Gleason probably cops a little bit of the Bryce Cotton theory as well. Is that, they're meant to be good, and they just are good. So we just sort of... And so I'm not diminishing what Will Weaver has done, because the stats you just rolled out are outstanding. Yes. Perth are, of course, the leading challenger to a championship. And it's just the way that, unfortunately, you've raised this before around LeBron James.
He's great. He could be MVP almost every year. But it doesn't happen.
Because when something else happens, it takes...
But you know what? There are times when we look back and say, he should have got it.
Agreed.
So when you're in the moment, you can keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't want to look back and say, oh, my God, Bryce Cotton didn't win that because of voter fatigue. That's not right.
No, agreed. But that's how it is, traditionally. And I would love it. And whoever does win it...
It's going to be deserving, whoever.
Weaver, whoever. That's a good point.
All respect to all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? This is a great, healthy conversation we're having. That's how great of a job these coaches have done, these players have done, where there's tireless debate over who's who. So this is all great stuff.
I think especially with MVP, it's awesome to be in a situation where you go, if any one of those three, like we had this situation last year with Bogut, Cotton, and
well, actually, we were not in this situation last year. But we're not going to go there. New year, new conversation.
Maybe let's save that for double overtime. All right, Indigenous Round, of course, at Lead Studs and Duds on NBL.com. It was a wonderful weekend, and I've got to say, it brilliantly done all the pre-games, and I was at the, I think we're all at the Melbourne Perth Wildcats game last weekend, last Wednesday, of course, and it was just brilliantly done in so many different aspects to recognise the culture and so much of what Indigenous players and people have done for the NBL and sport and everyone in society. What I will say, those Cairns Taipans shorts might be the best short in the history of the NBL.
Very cool.
They were outstanding. You, of course, are beautifully done there, the designs, and obviously that just sends a shiver down the spine anytime you see the haka. So it led your studs and duds, Liam Santa Maria, and I tell you what, it couldn't be any more fitting.
Yeah, outstanding. And, hats off to people like Tyson Demos, the influence of a guy like Paddy Mills, the people behind the scenes at the Illawarra Hawks who really got the ball rolling last year, and then, Jeremy Loliga and Larry Kesselman and everyone at NBL HQ for taking it and running with it and spreading it right across the league. And I think it meant a lot to a lot of people. Players and people involved in the league, but also a lot of supporters, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous. Let's keep that in mind. I had some conversations that, I wrote a piece after a conversation with Pero Cameron, former NBL player, of course, and a FIBA Hall of Famer. And he was really heartfelt in what he said about how excited he was and proud of the league he was to see that happening. Had another conversation with Scott Butler, the first Indigenous referee in the NBL and now head of the referees. And man, it was eye-opening to listen. It was a private conversation, and but he said he's comfortable for me to talk about elements of it. But just the what he said for my family, for members of my family, for a long time in our lives, we've felt on the margins. We felt like we were not accepted necessarily as part of mainstream society in Australia. And something like this helps a lot in that regard, celebrating our culture, recognising us for who we are and showing pride in us being the Indigenous people of the country. And he said, for me, having spent a long time as a part of this league, I'm really proud that we've taken that big step. So really awesome to have it happen. Nate
Jolway's comments last week as well, saying it would be rival a championship and even beyond was unbelievable to read and hear the big man who's had such a wonderful NBL and basketball career across the world. You got anything?
Yeah, I mean, everything Liam said and what you just said, and Liam, it was Nate, this round was incredible, to understand more about the culture and pay the respect, and that's what you're supposed to do, and it's great to see the NBL take a huge step in doing that.
It's on Nate Jolway too, because he's been a big part of this Cairns Taipans franchise for a little while. He's a big part of it coming off the bench, and they had a big win last weekend, which wasn't overly unexpected, but after last year, and we spoke about this in the pre-season a little bit as well, if they get rolling at home, it gives them such a huge advantage, and it's going to be a big advantage for them in the playoffs. The joint is packed. They shot the ball well. They hadn't beaten Illawarra remarkably this season, which leads to so many different what-ifs, but they are going to be in the playoffs, and they are so fun to watch. Cameron Oliver above the rim on numerous occasions. We'll get to the top 10 plays shortly. Machado just quarterbacking like you would not believe, and Illawarra just felt, it doesn't happen often in NBL, but just looked and felt outmatched from the opening tip.
Mate, this was a great night, because it was actually a really key win for them to make sure that they got this done before they head on the road for their final 3 games. And it turned into an absolute celebration in the Cairns Convention Centre. And then the team, Machado and Oliver and Newell and all these guys put on a show while their fans were losing their biscuits in the stands. And for me, I felt great for that Orange Army on that night, because they continued to pack that joint out right throughout that 6-22 season last year. And the organisation was just so thankful for the support that they got throughout that season. That was the best part of it all. And it was a mutual appreciation night. The team with the fans with the team, and now they march their way towards the final.
And if things can't get any better for the Orange Army, they make a grand final. We're taking the show to Gilligan, so that'll top their year off nicely. They're fun to watch, aren't they, Homicide?
Yeah, they are, but, at the tail end of the season, where we are right now, this is the business end of the season. They are not supposed to lose to Illawarra. I don't care if they lost the first 3 times. Plus, in this league, it's extremely difficult to sweep any team, you know, especially a team playing this good. So they just did what they needed to do, but it's great that they punched their ticket to the finals.
For me, there were shades of kind of Croc Nation about the Taipans fans won't enjoy me saying that, but about that night. You know, you would remember when you guys made that finals run, and it's a regional club.
Yeah.
The passion, the pride in saying, yeah, you know what? There are some big city teams that we're going to finish above, and we're loving it.
Well, Scotty Machado, if they go to Perth and beat the Wildcats, he rips the jersey off. Hey, Brisbane had to do what they had to do as well. They're so particularly good at home, and Melbourne rolled on in and played really well for 2.5 quarters. In fact, nearly 3. In fact, probably Melbourne's best performance for a little while. Mello Trimble was outstanding, but the Bullets, as they've done all year behind Andre Lamanis, we were always believers, but they believed in themselves and they were able to get over United in the 4th quarter.
This was an extremely tough team win at home. You put Mello Trimble coming off the bench, and his performance was incredible in itself, but it was just a rebound party. What did they out-rebounded them by 24 rebounds. They destroyed them. It was 24 offensive boards and 24 defensive rebounds. It was incredible. Lamar Patterson put together an incredible MVP-like performance, and he's continuing to do so at the tail end of this season. But it was just a great effort by that team. You know, some of the guard play for the Brisbane Bullets was not the best, but they figured out a way to get it done. Jason Kadee with the offensive rebound, tap in and put the nail in Melbourne United. Yeah. And that was just a great team effort for the Bullets.
It was. And you know what? It was everything we've said about the Bullets all along, which is their poise under pressure, their grace under pressure. Yeah. Down 13 at one point, down 7 in the 4th quarter. And Andre Lamanis says it week after week. And you watch it when you watch them play, they don't panic. They just continue to work their way back into the game. I think they're playing with more kind of hunger and desire than what we saw earlier in the year. But Hodgson, oh my God.
14 and 14. Woo. Shout out to Matty Hodgson. Big game.
Just piling on the offensive boards. Brisbane grabbed 61% was their offensive rebounding percentage.
Unbelievable.
That is just ridiculous numbers, and they just went after it and took that game.
And gives them really that hard, probably almost 2 hands on that playoff spot. All right, LD, top 10 mobile, guy in the back talking to me. We spoke too long about the Gazy, so we might get the Sanders watching in a moment. Firstly, here's the top 10, all thanks to LD Mobile.
Round 18 is done. Let's have some fun at your Aldi Mobile NBL Top 10. At number 10, the first thing on our plate is this filth from Jayshawn Tate. Against the defense of Perth, Jayshawn finds an open berth, and when he gets a running start, he rips the D apart. Jayshawn Tate in at number 10. On to number 9, and look who's running through the key from 3 to play some D. Frequent flyer Miles piles on Sean Long, who's known for finishing strong, but you gotta come stronger than that at the rack against this Wildcat. Miles Plumlee in at number 9. At number 8, watch closely. Is this the longest no-look pass in hoops history? Scott Machado makes this one hover from one lane to the other. DJ Newble catching in stride before lifting off on the fly. This one's in at number 8. On to number 7, and Sean Long was denied at 9. Could it happen twice? No dice. Mitch McSharon as Sean Long gets a chin up after the stuff, and this one gets in at number 7. At 6, Adelaide on the break, and Jerome Randall stops on a dime, freezes time, then drives right on by. Scotty Hobson left as lifeless as a bag of bones as Randall drives to the throne. You know, more than a few good men have learned the hard way, man. You just can't handle the Randall. He's in at number 6. On to number 5, and no rim raider can deal with this space invader. Cam Oliver turns this attempt into a wreck and then finishes with a flex. You know the rules. Space Cam is a must-have in the top 10, and he gets in with a little defense at number 5. At 4, a guy named Jordan getting off the floor. The Breakers have their own jump man getting up for the big slam as Naughty rises to the skies. It all starts with a clean steal, and then all of a sudden things get real as Jordan Nautai gets in at number 4. Folks, just go ahead and buckle up for the top 3. They're that good. At number 3, Matt Hodgson morphed into Blake Griffin on a Duncan mission. And we're going to need some blue tack because Matt just attacked the rack for the NBL 20 poster. And somebody get Tohi Smith-Miller out of the toaster. Matt's in at number 3. On to number 2, and it's Sean Long coming through. Will Magnay may lead the league in blocks, but there's no denying that kind of hops. Mr. Double-Double punching the pill right over Will. And go ahead and flex into that strong Sean Long. He's in at number 2. But at number 1, who better to pay tribute to the Mamba than one of the Taipans? Space Cam rising to the heavens on this great impression as he goes flying just like Kobe Bryant. We miss you, Mamba, but the game keeps getting stronger. A reverse with a burst comes in first as Space Cam Slam lands at number 1 on the NBL Top 10.
Well, thanks, LD Mobile, top 10. If you missed it or you want to see it again, at NBL, it's on all our digitals as well. All right, back to the Perth Wildcats, because they got the win. A little load management for Sydney, but still, wonderful game. They had an opportunity late to Kings to steal it, but they had to back up after that game on Wednesday night and roof open. Seems to affect the shooting percentage, and it hurt the three-point shooting percentage of the Wildcats. But they bounced back on the Saturday night by shooting the ball particularly well. I'm going to start with you, Homicide, because you have given the rings to the Wildcats. From what you've seen in recent times, of course, just getting over the Breakers at home, the loss to Melbourne, then a close one against the Kings, although they won it. You still as confident?
100%.
Okay.
A win's a win. Don't care if you win by 30 or you win by 1. They still won.
There was no Tarico White and obviously still no Damien Martin in that game against Melbourne. A desperate Melbourne team on their home floor.
What are you hearing about Damien Martin? Like, we still confident he'll be right for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to work him back in. See, Kevin Lear, she's got to get these games under his belt, right? Like, but in this one, obviously still no Damien Martin. Tarico White back into the lineup, and yeah, they just did what they've been doing to the Sydney Kings, right? They got the looks that they wanted. They knocked those shots down, and they made enough plays to get the win. I was impressed with Sydney's effort. You know, guys like Jay-Sean Tate and Brad Newley really battled hard in that game. I'd like to see Casper Ware get off, against the Wildcats at some point. Sydney fans would be feeling that way, but I don't think you're too worried if you're the Wildcats. I'll tell you what though. They've got Brisbane coming into town this week. They always play the Wildcats tough. This year, 2 wins over them, a narrow loss in Perth, Sobey on Cotton. It's going to be a good game. It's
a fun matchup, that Sobey and Cotton matchup every single time. Of course, we've seen it a couple of years ago when they played off in the semi-finals, which Adelaide, of course, was able to get over into a grand final. So that's it for mine. Is that the grand final preview for you as well?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd say so, but man,
I agree.
They're going to be tough beats in the semis.
I like the fact, and we've said this a lot, if it's Cairns and Brisbane, as currently is 3 and 4, they're playing their best basketball right about now. So essentially, they're going to come in on a heater.
And we're sitting here, the New Zealand Breakers are going to Brisbane.
Yeah.
And if they win, they are well and truly still alive.
Hey, and just some breaking news about that game. 1, 2, 3. They've rolled out the NBL Overtime crew to call that on Friday night. That's how big that
Big mistake.
All right. Just as some sombre news, some news overnight. Graham Longstaff, 100 games in the NBL, plus more than 100 games, has passed away. A man who played in the early days of the NBL and was exceptionally talented, as we see here. Nice little left-hand layup. But firstly, our thoughts go out and to all his family and friends in particular. But Liam Santamaria, a man you got to know as well from a basketball perspective when he coached you.
At the Knox Raiders. He was a part of the Knox Raiders family as well for a long time, and he was assistant coaching when Tommy Greer and I were playing for the Raiders underneath former Sydney Kings head coach Damien Cotter. It's a sad loss for the NBL family, and he was a salt of the earth kind of guy, and we send our love and condolences to his friends and family and the whole Knox Raiders and Giants family.
Very well said. All right, double overtime, because we spoke about the Gazies for way too long. Guy at the back is telling us. So double overtime, we're going to hit New Zealand. We're going to do yes or no. Sandra's watching as well. So for all the people who send in clips to Liam Santamaria means he doesn't have to do any work. It'll be on Double Overtime at NBL. Thank you, Homicide.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liam Santamaria. Studsandduds.com.au. Jump on NBL.com.au. I stuffed that up. See ya.
Peace.